Namaskar. Every culture has facets that make it unique. Kumbh, the COVID crisis, demonetization. These were major events that highlighted what was unique about our society. What did all this say about our civilization? We once had parenting techniques, cultural values, and community structures that balanced support and judgment. A child knew that love was unconditional, but criticism was inevitable when limits were crossed. That balance prepared them for life, the reality of workspaces, for society, for everything. But look around today. We are in danger of losing that balance. Comfort culture has taken over. Phrases like, "don't judge," "it's not your fault," "you did your best," have become like cultural sedatives. They soothe. They make that person feel better for the time being. What they do in reality is erode the concept of accountability. They create adults who cannot tolerate even this much of criticism, who crumble when expectations, even the minimal of expectations, are placed on them in the workplace. And it's not just parenting. The same psychology is working in different aspects of society. On the one side, there are people who chastise others, actually demeaning delivery partners by calling them zombie slaves, ignoring the fact that they are doing an honest day's job, probably without complaining, thankful for having a means of earning, that their survival demands it. But terms like zombie slaves, they become normalized, dehumanizing such people or romanticizing their struggles. So what does it say about our civilization? That we are drifting from a culture of responsibility to a culture of labels and excuses. We were a civilization that revered discernment, duty, resilience, the ability to stick to the right in the face of everything that was wrong. But today we are fast becoming a society that uses such slogans, such denials, and such comfort culture. And the danger is clear. If we continue losing the ability to face the truth, whether it is in parenting, in work, or in society, we are risking raising a generation of citizens who's blind to reality, incapable of dignity, incapable of respecting other people's dignity, unprepared for the tough times that come in everybody's life. And no, I am not resorting to nostalgia. We need to remember what we had and to guard against losing what was good in it. When I walked into the Kumbh, it was actually an 8-kilometer walk the first time I went. And that was a revelation that has forced me to think about what our native parenting is all about. What I realized was that Kumbh was the mirror of the Bharatiya Hindu psyche. What others look on as chaos, that is actually a civilisational rhythm that has survived from millennia. Many people who went there are definitely not the rooted Bharatiya, but others, maybe those who have lived in the city for too long, who have come from other places around the world, they found the Kumbh overwhelming. Millions of people, like a river of humanity, rituals everywhere. But if they were to pause and look beneath the surface, they would have seen a psychology of a civilization at work. The most important thing, the most important revelation is that the Bharatiya psyche does not place the individual at the center. At the Kumbh, this became starkly evident. The self dissolved into the collective. What I saw was millions walking, calm, tired but calm, no chaos. Walk together, eat together, chant together, bathe together. Minor scuffles might have happened, as could happen in any gathering of this sort. But by and large, the self dissolved at the Kumbh. What I understood from this was the Indian psyche prioritizes belonging rather than standing apart. To many outsiders, maybe, rituals are like superstition. But when you look closely, that is psychology in action. The act of bathing, chanting, walking barefoot, they are civilisational, you could call them technologies that reset the mind, that remind the individual that humility, continuity, and collective connection is far larger, far stronger than anything that an individual can do or achieve. The other thing that became clear was that we Bharatiya see things differently because we see time differently. The Kumbh is not a one-off event. It happens in cycles. There's a 12-year cycle, there's a 6-year cycle, there's a 3-year cycle. This cyclical rhythm tells us that life is not a straight line. It's not a continuously upward or downward graph. That things happen in a cycle. The good, the bad, they all come round. Progress. The wheel turns. There is renewal, there is repetition, there is the bad, then the renewal, then the repetition, then the good. And this understanding breeds patience, resilience, and a longer view of history. My yesterday and my tomorrow are not the most important thing. Our past and our future, our present, that our, not mine, is the priority. Many chastise us for making our faith a public spectacle. That they tell us that your faith is personal, you keep it at home. But isn't that another form of individualism? Where is the us in that? You know what was unique about the Kumbh? The Kumbh worked without much of a central command. I vaguely remember that there was about 30,000 policemen. And on the day with the maximum turnout for the Kumbh, there were 3.5 crore people. 3.5 crore people. Okay, that was the peak day. Most days, there were 1.5 crore and more. Regulated by what? A bare 30,000 policemen. What is that ratio coming to? 200? 250? Mind-boggling. Any other place on earth, such a small presence of the law regulator would have led to chaos. At the Kumbh, it didn't. Because everybody respected the fact that everybody else also needs to bathe in the Ganga, in the Sangam, in the Yamuna. It wasn't just my right. It was everybody's prarabdha to be bathing there. The native population of Varanasi is some 14 lakhs or 15 lakhs, I think. 1.5 crore people visiting a place that had a native population of 15 lakhs. Remember, every additional lakh was absorbing the resources that would have been available to those 15 lakhs. That could have caused resentment. Did it? I don't think so. The hospitality, the welcome, the enthusiasm that I saw there from those people, the vendors, the local people, was just amazing. And it wasn't just one day. I mean, can you imagine? Say, have 15 unexpected guests. For one meal, you'd manage. Or say you were expecting 5 and 15 turned out. You would manage for one meal or two meals. But if it went on and on and on, 10, 20, 40, 60, 65 days, that is what the people of Varanasi faced. There would have been shortages. But they didn't spill over into fights, into recrimination. That was the wonder. One of the experiences, the second time round when I went there, was even more inspiring. We had one person on a wheelchair. The arrangements were that we would be dropped very close to the Sangam to take care of the person in the wheelchair. That day was the highest turnout. Vehicles were stopped 20 kilometers away from the Sangam. Jugaad, that's all we had. We ended up walking on kacha roads, and in some places no roads, with that wheelchair. There were times when we struggled to just get past the uneven parts. Not once, not twice, but dozens of times during that 6-kilometer walk. A person coming from the opposite side noticed that we were struggling, just came, lifted the wheelchair from one side, while one of us lifted it from the other, put it past that uneven spot, and without even looking at us, without waiting for a thank you, just walked on. If that doesn't inspire you, I don't know what can. For me, this Kumbh, this unexpected pilgrimage, has been a life-changing experience. And as I said, what does the Kumbh tell us about ourselves? What it told me was that the Bharatiya psyche is collective, cyclical, generous, enduring, faithful. It's not a psyche where instant gratification holds much meaning. And perhaps that's why, despite so much of upheaval, so much of discomfort, no 5-star travel, half the population of the country managed to come to that one spot in Varanasi, pay and go back without causing chaos, without rioting, with nothing other than minor chutput skirmishes. And you know what? That experience told me that we Indians, we Bharatiya, can do just about anything we put our minds to. We don't need somebody to sit on our heads. We don't need somebody to govern us, to make society work. It's our parenting, that native parenting, which has inculcated certain respect in our character, that makes it possible. Did you go to the Kumbh? I hope you did. If you didn't, go the next time. Because let me tell you one thing. Whatever negative self-image that you might have of us, Bharat and Bharatiya, will disappear as if it never was. Because if we can manage that, we can manage anything. And you know why? That's because of native parenting. Parenting that doesn't mollycoddle, that loves unconditionally, but defines the limit. That is why. Namaskar.